This segment of Naperville Sports Weekly is brought to you by the Daily Herald.
We are here at Benet Academy with head coach Michael Hand. Thank you for joining us.
Sure, thanks for
home of
coming out here.
the 1A state champion for the girls here. First state championship in school history for tennis. Kind of just tell me how that felt.
It was great. It was just I kind of knew going along that we had a shot, but there's so many variables in any of it. You know, a lot of it's under your control, but there are certain things that you just have no control over. We kind of did our work, and then we needed a little help, and we got it. And so when we finished the state semis, that I thought was enough. That with Paulina and Katie winning that gave us 22 points, and I thought, you know, there's there's two teams that could possibly catch us, and one of them was playing a match a couple of courts down, and the girl ended up losing that, so that helped that one, and then we needed help from one other spot, and we were able to get that, and so when unfortunately, when they played the finals, they had lost the finals and came off the court with that. I kind of looked at my assistant coach and kind of said, you know, what do you know? And said, looks like it's ours.
So when you say you kind of did have a feeling about it, did you just not want them to know what the points were at? Because when we talked about Paulina and Katie didn't know.
You know, and in a way they're kind of correct, because we've never really been in a position that we've competed for state title. You know, in all honesty, the idea with it splitting to two classes really helped us. You know, we were able to go further both in doubles and in the singles. I mean, the singles were just as crucial to that as the doubles were. You know, Paulina and Katie were seeded second, and so there's kind of an expectation that they should get to that position. But the singles players, there was no expectation. We weren't sure. I mean, they could have lost in the first round, or they could have just had the tournament of their life, and that's what they did. They played. Kate Piazza, who's a senior, played probably the match of her life, and it's unfortunately the last match she won, because she ended up losing two right after that. But to go through that and to realize what she had accomplished and what she had helped with the team. So it's not that I purposely didn't tell the girls, I just didn't know. And so once we started getting into that, I didn't tell them directly, because I guess I'm kind of I follow the philosophy that sometimes you don't want to know these things.
You don't want to put pressure on it.
Yeah, you don't. And so, and I don't know, I mean, as I've seen them throughout the year, I felt that they could handle it, but let them focus on what they needed to do, and they needed to play for a state championship in doubles, and let that be their focus. And if they win that, then we win. If they don't, then we're kind of in that in-between area where we could have finished first, we could have finished third. But it was, you know, it was an exciting moment when we finally confirmed it, and I know the girls were just as thrilled as I was. And you know, as a coach, you're happy, but I think I was happier for the girls, because they earned it. They did what they needed to do. They put in the work throughout the season. They did what they needed to do at the state tournament. And it's nice to be rewarded like that. I think everybody gets rewarded, because, you know, you do a little bit better in certain positions. You win that conference championship, you win that sectional championship, but just to be able to do that at that level and to go out as you said, as state champ. Katie Telford played her last match. Kate Piazza played her last match, and they got to stick around and got rewarded for it with a nice big trophy.
Yeah. What were the goals and expectations at the beginning of the year? Was state one of them, or winning state, not just getting there?
Again, because it's the first year of a two-class system, I don't know that I had a lot of expectations to that level. I always tell the girls at the beginning of the season, I said, there's two plaques that I care about: conference and sectionals. Everything else is a lead up. If we don't win a weekend tournament, I'm not as worried about it. I'm worried about how are we playing? Are we playing better? Are we progressing to get to that position where the plaques that matter, the championships that matter, conference and sectional, are within our grasp. When we get to state, again, there's no expectation other than how we playing. Can we do the best we can? Can we score the points? And I've had a lot of people ask me, well, how do they win a state championship? How do they score the points? Because it's not like basketball where you're playing your opponent. It's more of you get points for as many matches as you win. You just keep winning matches, you accumulate points. And Katie and Allison, for the previous 2 years, were by themselves. They were the only team that we qualified. So they were accumulating points, but not as many as you would when you had both them and both Paulina and Katie and Kate Piazza and Caroline Arnold as your singles players. The only thing we missed were the other doubles team, and they lost in a tough 3-set match in the sectional quarterfinal to qualify. So we had the opportunity then with those 3 entries in there to try to accumulate the points.
What point at state when it kind of hit you that there was a reality of we can really win this? Was there a moment after a certain win?
After Thursday, when both singles players won both of their matches, because I think that was the big gray area. Neither of them was seeded. Both of them had to play a seed in the second round. Both of them came through that. And then on that Thursday evening, we went out. We all went and sat at Panera, had a nice little, afternoon, soup or whatever. Paulina always talks, I want my tomato soup. She loves tomato soup. And we're sitting there, and I'm thinking about it, the fact that we got 8 points out of the singles players that were completely unexpected. We expected to get the 4 points. So we ended up with 12 points. We're 1 point behind Rock Island Alleman in the tournament. And I'm thinking, this is doable. And then when Caroline Arnold won her match Friday morning, her 4-hour and 40-minute match, all of a sudden it's going from a possibility to this could actually really happen. And I was more thinking, hey, we could actually come home with a trophy. Didn't know which one. But at that point, I hate to admit, and I think all coaches do, you get greedy. Hey, if I want a trophy, I want the big one. Yeah. But still, it was in the hands of the girls and in the hands of by that time, Caroline still played Saturday morning, lost to a good player. But Katie and Paulina needed to get through the semis, and they did a great job doing that. So I think really Thursday afternoon, I kind of started looking at it and saying this could be a very, very distinct possibility.
You talk about Paulina. Is she your first international player you've had?
Yeah. We don't get a lot of transfers coming through, just because it's hard coming into a school like this. But she had the advantage. She did come out to camp. We saw her starting in June. Her folks had moved here sometime during the spring. She just joined them from Arizona, and they wanted to get her acclimated. So she was able to join us at tennis camp, meet some of the kids, and really get accustomed to, knowing these kids and being a little familiar enough instead of walking in day one like I don't know anybody, I don't know anyone. So she was a nice addition.
How do you think Katie, her experience the previous 2 years at state, do you think that helped the team at all? Was she able to say anything to them?
I don't know if she said anything to them, but sometimes it's just your actions. It's just the demeanor that you put on the court. It's just the presence that you have, the confidence that you exude. I think, of course, for her personally, I think just having those challenges made her have a better expectation of what she could do and to accomplish it. But I think just being able to mentor the kids, not necessarily verbally, but just in action, I think was even a bigger bonus to the team as a whole.
And Katie, obviously moving on to college now, a senior, you got Paulina coming back. You're the 1A state champions. What's going to be the mood you think day one of next season? Is there going to be another different level of expectations coming back trying to defend that title?
Yeah, that's every team's different, but I think obviously that should be thrown out there and say, hey, look, this is what we did. This is how we're able to do it. Do you have it in you to maybe do the same thing? And you kind of put that out as a challenge. You don't put it out there as, boy, you guys better defend that. You put it out as a challenge because it is an entirely different team. It's going to be an entirely different group of players. But you say, look, they were able to do it. This is what they did. Do you think you could possibly put that effort through? But it also kind of puts the expectation like, hey, it's doable. It can happen.
And even the new players, even if they didn't play at state, people know you as the state champions when you come back in, so they might have a little swagger coming in next year.
Yeah, I think a little bit.
So, final question for you. You've been here obviously a long time coaching tennis. What was your mood going into Saturday? I know you obviously had a chance to win. Were you going to take? You can tell the truth. Are you going to be happy with anything less than first, knowing you had a chance?
I'd be happy, okay? I'd be lying if I said I was happy with third or second. If I wanted the trophy, I wanted the big one. I guess I'm selfish too. I wanted to be able to say, hey, we were the first Class 1A state champions, and be able to, nobody can ever take that away from you. They're going to be another state champion year after year, long after I retire from coaching. But nobody will ever be able to say, hey, we were the first. And I think these girls have they have the ability, and they can say, look, we were the first. We were the first team at Benet to bring a trophy home in tennis. We were the first Class A state champ. So I think I'd be happy for the girls anyway, because they earned it, they worked hard. But let's not kid. I think a coach would be lying to you if they said, look, if I wanted a trophy, I want the big one.
And 1A, it doesn't matter. You can only play who's in front of you. That's the thing. People say it wasn't too. Well, still, you can only play who's in front of you, and you only beat who's in front of you, and that's what you did.
Well, we play a lot of 2A schools. So I feel real comfortable. I think this team would have done well in the 2A tournament. Obviously, we weren't going to beat Hinsdale Central. We're not in that caliber of player, but they would have shown very well if it had been a 1-class tournament or a 2-class tournament. So.
Well, best of luck next season. See if you can defend that title, and congratulations on a great year.
Thank you.
Thanks.